Hey there, investing in Florida agents. I wanted to go over this how to handle a listing in Dotloop, and we've had a few questions, so I wanted to make sure everybody's on the same page and how to work not only Dotloop but your listing presentation or your listing agreement with your seller. So I wanted to go over real quick. This is Dotloop here. I already started one, say this Clearwater property here, 4016. Like I've gone over before, when you're setting up a loop, you basically just click loop on the right and you're going to put the address here and it starts your own. So when you're in here, you also can click on this view details right here and you can come in here and put all the information down. So you can put the listing, the seller, the buyer, the selling agent, the buyer's agent, the address, the commission, the price, just everything that you put in here. And the reason why is because when you start a new form in Dotloop, it will give you the option to autofill. And this one didn't because it's already set up, but it gives you the option to autofill. And when that happens, it'll put their name right in there, our name, the address, even the legal description. It throws everything in there so you do not have to keep copying it and putting it in there. But this is what the exclusive right of sale listing agreement. This is what I always use because you also have the ability to transaction brokerage. This allows you to not have to go back to that if you do end up finding a buyer for your own listing. You can do both sides. So this is what it looks like here. If you're the listing agent, I would put your name up front just so that it's definitely explained. And you can just move things around like that. You put the date in here and usually doing it for, for at least 6 months or so. Address, you want to put the legal description so there's no confusion. Anything that you have in here, all appliances, if they're going to sell their waterbed with the property, anything like that, you're going to put those in there. Or if it's too long, you just put an attachment and puts the attachment. The other one is occupancy. The property is or isn't occupied by a tenant. So you want to put that in there, especially we work with a lot with the investors. So you want to have the lease date on there as well. You want to know that because that's going to go, your lease date is very important when you're putting a listing up for your buyers, for your investors. So you want to have that filled out. This one is not occupied by a tenant. So then we're going to go ahead and put the price in here. You want to make sure that that price is the price. You can put, if you're, I've seen it'll be okay if you put, say they want to do 389, but they're willing to go down to 350. You could put dash 350. You can put that in there so that you have the option to do it. But what you really want is, and that's a little vague. So your listing price is 389, 900. If they want to drop it 5,000, you put an addendum together to be allowed to drop 5,000 because you don't want them to come back to you and say, I did not agree to that. You want to have it in writing. Financing terms, you can do cash, conventional VA, FHA. Some homes may not pass some of the like FHA requirements, so that might not be checked. And if that's not checked by your seller, then make sure that it's not listed as a option on MLS. VA, there's a lot of people that choose not to do VA because of experiences they had with VA inspectors. I always choose VA if possible. You want to make sure they have their options for as many homes as they can. They support our country. So we're going to go down the seller financing. If they do have seller financing, you write the terms in there. Assumption to existing mortgage. If they are going to have the option of allowing the buyer to assume a mortgage, you definitely want to put that in there because that opens up your ability to give more options, especially if, say, you have a property that's at 3% right now. Gosh, that's a gold mine to an investor. So you definitely want to, if there are options, if that is an option, make sure you find out those details. And if you struggle with the assumption of mortgage or the wraparound mortgage, let me know. We can work through that and how to display it. Next, you have a few other check boxes. One is, of course, the authority to display the property on the internet. You definitely want to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to sell. Seller does not authorize broker to display property on the internet. They can check that off. So you want to make sure, especially even the address, you want people to go there. So you hope that they don't check that off, that they're not going to check that off. They can put initials. You can scroll down. If they're willing to use a lockbox on the property, that's great. You also can use the super boxes, which makes it so that only people that have super are allowed to see the property, which also lets more security. So you do have that option as well, but same thing, lockbox if they are allowed to have that. The other thing is to withdraw verbal offers. So if somebody's going to give you a verbal offer, you don't have to, I mean, not withdraw, withhold. So you don't have to tell the sellers if somebody gives you a verbal offer, or withhold all offers once seller accepts the sales agreement. You can do this, but you still want to be able to take backup offers if possible. So you can check or not check that. Virtual office, a seller does not authorize an automated estimate of the market value of the listing to be displayed in immediate conjunction with the listing of the property. So they have the ability of checking that. I usually do not. Seller obligations, these are obligations to the seller, so you can read through that. But here's number 8, this is the compensation. And this is where things are changing this year. But for right now, the way it works is the compensation is, just say in this instance, this is not price fixing, but just say in this instance, we have 6%. And then we also put a $295 MLS fee, because that's the cost that it is for listing the property. So those are the 2 fees in here. So that's how much the seller will pay. But you scroll down, and then you're going to the compensation of the buyers, and that's at 3%. So you want to make sure that you have the cooperating brokerage's percentage in there as well. And a lot of times the buyer's agents look to see how much the seller is willing to pay them. If it is lower, it makes it a little tougher to sell. So that's why that is actually a negotiation right now. And hopefully, I think that will be a good thing to change. Okay, so then now we're at single agent. So we put our name in there, and we put, make sure that you have the single agent. Right here, I have my IDs. And as you scroll down, you also sign the transition to transaction brokerage. So you're able to set it up. So say you have the listing here as a single agent, but you also find the buyer. If you sign this in one form, you do not have to go back and sign it again. So you want to discuss that with your seller, make sure that works for them. You want to make sure that if there is a termination fee, you want to put that in there. If you want to make sure that you have the seller sign the disputed resolution. You want to make sure it's arbitration so that you guys work through it. And then if there's any other terms, you can put that in there, and that is it. So making sure that you have all this filled out, but this is your listing exclusive right of sale listing agreement, which is also the transition to transaction brokerage. So that's exactly how you fill it out. And if you have any questions, just let me know. In Dotloop, I can share this document with you. I can share this document with you this way with all the boxes filled out if you add me as a team member. And that way you do not have to fill them back in. I can do that with any of you guys that need any help. Let me know. So I hope this helps, and we'll keep getting these listing presentations and these listing forms filled out. So hopefully have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.